Welcome to the main basketball rankings podcast. Well, I'm your host, basketball data nerd Lucas McNally. We have 1 week left in the regular season, and we should be talking about seeding and trying to figure out: are we going to get the 2 seed? Can we get the 3 seed? Could we drop to 4? Are we going to get a play-in? All of this stuff. But what are we talking about? Idiots. We're talking about idiots. So, if you've been under a rock this week, here's what happened. Early in the week, at the Erskine Madomit girls game, which by some happenstance I was at, well, not happenstance, because I was going to go to that anyway, a fan gets ejected from the game, and it's not great. So let's do some backstory here. It's 12-2 Erskine playing 12-3, I think, at the time Madomit Valley. Erskine has a really good first half. They're just everywhere on defense, and the fans are not happy about the officiating, even though Erskine's up 16. And by the fact that the fans are not happy, the Erskine fans are not happy with the officiating. Madomit comes all the way back. This is a fantastic game. Both teams played really well for a half, and then not great at all for the other half. And I was talking to one of the Erskine coaches after the game, and I'm like, this is kind of what you want in a late season game like this, because you're both getting tested by a good team. You're finding some stuff that you need to work on still. And this is a team you're not going to have to play in the regional, in your tournament. Maybe if best case scenario, they both get to the gold ball game, you might meet again in the gold ball game. But it's a great test game late in the year to see where you are. And instead, we're talking about this guy. So let's go to the tape. You've probably seen this already, but here we go. Let's make sure I got thrown. So this is the wide angle shot. This is from the LCTV broadcast. And this is what we all saw initially.
They're going to ask the fan to leave, I think, and they're going to hold the basketball until he does. And let's see if we're going to get the finest in here, Waldeboro's finest.
Oh, he's leaning on the door.
Yeah. Oh, now we got another fan going at it over there. Coach Pumpo, Mr. Pumpo's going to have his hands full.
Yeah.
And the police are coming over there. We're going to talk this over. We'll have some excitement here tonight,
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah.
They are rabid. They are rabid. Yeah.
He's going to get himself in trouble here.
Yeah. He's going to get escorted to Wiscasset jail if he doesn't.
That's right.
Okay, so that's Larry Seidlinger and Phil Carlson on the call. Thanks to LCTV for letting me share that. So you can see he doesn't leave very quickly. And what initially happens is, so the Erskine fans had been hot from the opening tip. They were mad at every single call that went against them. It was the worst thing that had ever happened in the history of basketball. We've all seen those fans. Most programs have one of those fans. They had like 7, maybe 6. There was a lot of them, and it was really loud and it was really contentious. Even when Madomit was missing their first 15 shots, even when Erskine was up 16 in the third quarter, and then when Madomit went on a 17-1 run, that probably didn't help. And so you hear a lot of cheering in that clip. You're hearing two groups cheer. You're hearing the Madomit fans cheer because this loudmouth is leaving. And you're always going to get that cheer when the opposing team's fans get ejected. But you're also hearing a lot of Erskine fans cheering in support of this guy who seems to be some sort of martyr. And it's very weird. So in the aftermath of this, when this was just what we knew, there were some people going, boy, I don't think I've ever seen, and I talked to some people who see a lot of basketball. They're like, I can't remember the last time I saw a fan get ejected, and it doesn't happen very often prior to this week. I would probably say I see it every year and a half, something like that, and it's usually in a girls' game that's a blowout, and there's nobody there, and there's one parent who's just being obnoxious, and eventually the ref just goes, you know what, you're gone. Just go, get out of here. I'm tired of listening to you. This is a 40-point game. Shut up already. And they'll leave quietly, and that's that, and that's all you have. But this guy, he was going to get his money worth. I don't know if he thought he was a baseball manager getting ejected. When they get ejected, they start arguing and shoving the ump, and pick up first base and throw it into right field or whatever they're going to do. But yeah, so that was the initial thing, and where everyone went, okay. And I should say that I knew this was worse than it looked on that clip because I was there, and I was behind the scorer's table, so I had a really good angle on it. And then someone sent me this clip, which you've probably seen. Here we go. So that's a way worse angle. That's what I saw. You can see I'm actually in that clip, in like the foreground before they zoom in. You can see me there. That's a really bad angle. At the time, my thinking was, oh, this guy might go to jail. Because it looked like he was real close to bumping the cop, real close to bumping the ref, getting into Ryan DePompo, the assistant AD's face a lot. And that's just such a terrible, toxic look. And we'll do a sidebar here. I didn't get the name of the official. Someone told it to me and it's, escaping me. But the official here, like, wow. I wouldn't have been able to stand there and just completely ignore the guy. The play before this, which is the trigger, was an out of bounds play. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a big deal of a call. And the Erskine coach lost it. And we all thought she was getting a tech. On the broadcast, they said she's getting a tech, and it ended up just being a warning, and that was just the final straw for this guy. So that clip has 2.7 million views so far as of right now on Facebook and Instagram. And the notifications are ridiculous. It's just a whole thing. But the comments are awful. They're like 95%. Look at this dipshit. And they're 5% awful. Like, you should not have a computer, dude. And I haven't banned anyone yet from the Facebook page because I think, for the same reason I posted the video, really, because I think you need to see who these people are, and we all need to be aware that these people exist and that this activity exists, so that we can collectively go, you need to stop. And, there's people in the comments saying that I should get shut down by the MPA for sharing the video. There's people really mad that the video got shared. And I'm not 100% sure why. I have some theories, but I'm not 100% sure why people are so mad about a video like this getting shared. Is it because, and not even like, oh, that's my uncle or whatever, but just neutralish third-party people. Maybe they see themselves in this guy and they're like, he's doing the right thing. He's sticking up for the kids, and that should be celebrated, because there's also a lot of comments where he's a little bit of a martyr, and people are like, oh no, you don't understand. The reffing was really bad. And what is he supposed to do if the refs are this bad? And there's no authority, there's no repercussions for the ref in this situation. And I'm here to tell you that the reffing was not bad. And I would be the first person to tell you if it was. I'm the guy who makes fun of the refs and calls them the Peter Webb All-Stars when they screw up a game. If a ref blows a call and it costs the team the game, I will write 500 words about it. I'm on your side on the reffing needs to be better. But I've also had a ref on here to talk about how reffing could be better. And there's a shortage. We all know there's a shortage. I went to the Busline League Championships in Belfast, and there was a training ref doing one of the championship games. And that can't be good. And it wasn't good, and that's not a fair situation to put that kid in, who was a training ref and was clearly learning. I mean, he didn't have emotions down, and you could tell really quickly, other than the fact that he didn't have the correct uniform on, that this was a kid who was learning to ref and was putting up with some pretty, quite a bit of yelling, some abusive yelling. not by me, but there were people upset, and that can't help. Like, there's helping, there's yelling at the refs, and that's part of the game, but there's got to be a limit to it where they're not perfect, man. They're not gonna get every call right, and you just go, well, they missed that one. Okay. And then save your anger for if they really miss a call, or it gets really bad. Because these guys were not bad. They were not amazing. They missed calls. They missed calls that favored Madomic. They missed calls that favored Erskine. They missed calls completely that who knows what's going on. But I wouldn't say it was one of the 5 worst officiated games I've seen this year. It wasn't the worst officiated game I saw this week. It was like a B minus maybe, I don't know, B plus, but they just came in ready to fight and ready to go. And yeah, this is 100% not going to help the ref shortage. And to this ref's credit, he could have called a technical at the play. If you see the scoreboard there, it's tied at 41, I believe, with like 4 minutes left. Madame could just come back and tempers are up, and the Erskine coach definitely earned a technical, and I think was trying to get a technical, and he didn't call it. He just gave her the warning, that way it's not 2 free throws for Madama. It's not extra points in a tie game. That's a good thing to do. That's what we should want the official to do there, is make sure that the play is determined. The winning team is the team that earns it on the floor, and not because of a judgment call because someone was out of line. So there's that. So, okay, so then we're thinking, this is going viral. Everybody will calm down a little bit. Nobody will, you see action like this and you think, oh, maybe you look internally. I was like looking internally a little bit going, boy, when I was younger, I would yell at the refs and really give them hell. And I was never this bad. But, you start to think, boy, maybe I was worse than I remember, or that I told myself in the time. And, we could all calm down a little bit. But the next guy did not think that. He said, hold my beer. Let's go to Oak Hill.
Unbelievable. Integrity of the game is not involved here. That is terrible.
What a loser. The integrity of the game, dude. Yeah, so this was like 3 days later after the Erskine situation. And we were joking I was at Madame Oceanside for that night, and we were all joking like, oh, nobody get thrown out here. You don't want to get thrown out. You'll end up on the internet. And yeah, they eject 8 fans from this game. The guy runs out on the floor and gets in the ref's face, which, what are you doing? At what universe do you think this is a good idea? Like, what? So they eject the 8 fans. The refs take their ball and go home. Like, you can watch it on Huddle. You can watch it's Oak Hill and Booth Bay. They take the ball. Both refs leave through the same door that the fan left through, and they're gone for like 7 minutes. They're just gone, and everybody's sort of standing around. The players are trying to figure out what's going on. The coaches are talking to each other, and yeah, it's 7 minutes. They eventually come back. Apparently what they were doing was waiting for the ejected fans to leave. They eventually come back. The athletic director makes an announcement that if there's anything else happens, that you're all going home and we'll finish this game without you. And then they're able to finish the game. Booth Bay wins at the buzzer. So, ball don't lie and all that. It's a great win for Booth Bay. Like, they had a very tiny, very, very tiny chance of making the playoffs still. I think that's gone now. But that kept them alive for another day or two. But yeah, you can't. what are you doing? What are we doing? It's just ridiculous. And you keep thinking like this is gonna get worse. Um, a little backstory on Oak Hill. I actually had an incident with Oak Hill this fall during a field hockey round robin thing that was like a fundraiser for cancer. They were yelling at the other team's players and calling them derogatory names for a female that will get you slapped in a bar. And, you start hearing stories about this fan base in general across multiple sports, and it sounds really bad. I heard from one of the booth bay players and some of the stuff she's been going through. Really, really objectionable behavior by adults. And I don't know, if I heard that about like a program I was involved with, it'd make me sick. So, so then, hey, we're done, right? So we'll move on. The tournament's already here. No, the very next day, I don't have a video for this. The very next day, an Old Town fan was ejected in the Old Town Caribou boys game. One of the players gets ejected. He does not leave quietly, apparently. And then one of the fans got ejected at the end of the third quarter. He actually left quietly and slowly. He seemed to be pretty old though. But that's it's a little bit of progress. Okay, so what's causing this? It's probably a lot of different factors. The price of eggs isn't going down as quickly as people thought it would, so it's probably going up. So they can't be happy with that. Maybe people just forgot how to behave in public after the pandemic, but the pandemic's been over for a while, and we haven't had an issue until now. And if only there was some world event that was happening. Let me think. Hard to say. Regardless, it's got to stop. And it doesn't feel like it's going to stop. It feels like we're going to have a worse incident in the final week. If you see that, send me the video and we will put the guy on blast, because it'll be a guy. We'll put the guy on blast and, embarrass him. Yeah, I think it gets worse. It really worries me that someone's going to have a weapon of some kind in one of these games, and like a ref's going to get hurt, or God forbid a player's going to get hurt or something. And I was talking to someone today and I was like, it makes you glad that they've got metal detectors at the expo and up in Bangor, because Jesus. Okay. So we got to do something about it. Chris Popper, who is at WDEA. I should point out first that the MPA did not shut me down. They, in fact, sent out a press release telling people to chill and to remember their sportsmanship stuff and to not act a fool. And this was before the Oak Hill game. So there might be more today. We'll see. Chris Popper for WDEA wrote an article about this, and he has a couple of suggestions. So let's run through these real quick. One, if a fan gets tossed, they are escorted out of the school. They're not allowed to attend any more games, not only for the rest of that sports season, but for the rest of the school year. Get tossed out in football season, you miss basketball and baseball, etc. Get tossed in basketball, miss the spring sports, home and away. Be pretty hard to enforce. I'm not sure how you do enforce it other than like taking a picture of the guy and sticking it on the wall as people come in and sort of checking them. Or, at some point you probably just know who the guy is. You know who the problem guy is. You're like, oh, it's Jimmy. Oh, he's trouble. Number two, if it occurs at a basketball game, there's an immediate technical foul called, and the opposing team gets 2 free throws and the basketball. That's actually a rule. They could do that. No one ever does it. No one ever actually calls that. And then 3, and he admits this is the most radical of the suggestions. If it is a parent of a player, that player has to leave the game. The coach will be forced to bench him for the rest of the game. I don't love that one. I'm always reminded of the scene in Hoosiers when Dennis Hopper stumbles onto the court drunk, and the most mortified person there is his son who has to play. And then Gene Hackman goes, oh, it's okay. It's okay. He's one of the assistant coaches. And then they give him a technical. So there you go. There's your precedent for giving the technical is Hoosiers. And Hoosiers should be your precedent for anything that happens in basketball. It just should. Jim Baines on Facebook suggested that an ejected fan should have to pass a rules test to be allowed to come to games again. I really like that idea because a lot of this, well, a lot of it's just misplaced economic anxiety, and a lot of it is that people just don't know the rules, and you're just yelling over the back for an hour straight, and it's like, dude, that's not even a rule. Shut up. But it's worth noting that if a player or coach has to miss a game gets ejected, they have to miss a game. They can't play in the next game by MPA rule. So I don't see how that's not the minimum penalty for a fan because there's no, there's a lot of ways a player can get ejected that maybe aren't even their fault. But there's no way a fan gets ejected where it's not 1000% his fault or her fault if it should happen to be a woman, because there is no scenario in which you should be that terrible of a human being that you manage to get yourself ejected from a game, from the stands, because the refs will put up with a lot of yelling. Believe me, I have yelled at a lot of refs, and I have never been ejected from a game. I've never even gotten a technical for yelling at refs. As a player, as anything, they'll put up with a lot. So if you're going to cross that line, you've got to be truly, truly heinous and probably a really terrible person. All right, well, let's do the top 15. I had another video. Let's do this other video first because I forgot to write down the details, but this is from MCI Mount View. And I forgot to write down the names, but this is one of those situations where it's the trainer who has, I believe it's a special needs situation. Apologies if I get this wrong, but we'll show the clip. It's a heartwarming clip. Here we go. We need more of that and less of that idiot from Erskine and the idiot from Oak Hill and the idiot from Old Town and the idiot from whatever school it happens to this week. More of that, less of those idiots. Okay. With 1 week left in the season, let's do the top 10 for boys and girls. Here we go. We'll start at 15 just to clear out the, oh my gosh, you forgot my team, and they're right there and whatever. So, okay, so number 15 is Mad Nawcook. This is girls. Number 14, Edward Little. Number 13 is Chevrolet. Number 12 is Gray to Gloucester. And number 11 is Madomic Valley. Number 10, dropping 3 spots, is Oceanside. They're 12-4. They're plus 199. They lost at Mount Ararat this week, 50-73. And they beat Madomic Valley 36-33 in an, oh my gosh, ugly, awful game. Just... I think I don't think anybody left that game going, well, it was a good basketball game. Yeah, it was just a rock fight and one of those games where someone was going to have to win. But just, I was talking to Mark Haskell at halftime, I think. It's like, I don't think we're putting this one in the Hall of Fame. And he goes, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be telling my grandkids about this one at all. So, but a big win for Oceanside. It does keep their hopes of the 2 seed alive. And the 2 seed will probably be Madomic. Oceanside will probably be the 3. And Spruce is now locked up the 1 seed in B South. Oceanside is scoring 55.1 points a game. That's 11th in the state. They are first they have the hardest strength of schedule in Class B. And they lost Renee Ripley to what I'm told is a broken finger. Hopefully she can return before the end of the season. They can get her all taped up and pain managed and all that. This week, they are going to finish with Belfast and Hamden. Number 9 is Marshwood. They move up 2 spots. They are 15-1. They are plus 266 on the season. This week, they beat Westbrook 56-50, and they beat Massabesic 57-35. They are scoring 58 points a game. That's 8th best in the state. And they're going to play Noble, and they're going to travel to Kennebunk to finish up. Number 8 is South Portland. They stick at number 8. They're 13-3. They are plus 325. They beat Chevers 59-47. They are allowing 31.8 points a game. That is 9th best in the state. Really rare very hard for a AA school to be in the top 10 of scoring defense. And they are leading AA in point differential. This week they will finish with Portland and a trip to Gorham. That'll be a good one. Number 7 is Coney. They move up 6 spots. They're 14-2. They're plus 248. They lost to Lawrence by a whole hell of a lot. It's 36-70. And then they got a really nice bounce back win at Camden, 68-55. They're scoring 59.9 points a game. That's 6th in the state. They will finish with Lawrence and a trip to Gardner. And I've started loading in some of the rosters for the tournament, and I was doing Coney's. And boy, there's a lot of new names on that roster that weren't there last year. So kudos to them for staying where they are in the standings. And I mean, they're in the top 10 of the state, and it's a lot of new names. Okay, number 6 is Biddeford. They dropped 1 spot. They're 12-4. They're plus 267. They beat Brunswick this week, 55-33. Their strength of schedule is down to 17th. They were in the top 5, I think, in strength of schedule, as the sort of back half of their schedule's pretty soft. They have a percent perfect. Remember, percent perfect is for the power ranking points, the percentage of the points available to you that you get. So it's basically how well are you doing against your schedule. They are at 70.9%. That is 15th best in the state. They're going to finish with Bonnie Eagle and Thornton Academy. Number 5 is Spruce Mountain. They move up 1 spot and clinch that 1 seed. In B South, they're 16-1. They're plus 370. They beat Mountain Valley on the road 48-26. They are 6th in the state in percent perfect at 86.2%, and they are 8th in scoring differential. They will finish up by hosting Dirigo. Number 4 is Caribou. They stick at number 4, 16-1. They're plus 421. They beat Old Town in a game that had a finish. So on the scoreboard, someone just put a time code, and I was looking at it and going, oh, somebody else got ejected. Something bad happened. But there was just a time code to this final play. Old Town had 2 free throws with no time left on the clock, down to miss the first one, so they didn't take the second one. And Caribou barely escapes with the win. Their percent perfect is 86.5%. That's the best in Class B. They are allowing 31.9 points a game. That is also the best in Class B. And they're going to finish with a little bit of a rivalry game at Presque Isle. Number 3 is Lawrence, still 3rd. These top 4, none of them moved. They're 16-0. They're plus 474. They beat Coney, and then they also beat Skowhegan 62-38. Their percent perfect is 94.4%. That's 3rd best in the state. They're 4th in scoring differential. I think Valley is 1st. They're going to finish on the road, so at Coney again, and at Messalonsky. Number 2 is Mount Ararat. They're 14-2. They're plus 317. They beat Oceanside 73-50, and they just destroyed Freiburg 71-17. Their strength of schedule is 12th hardest in the state, but that's only the 4th hardest in A South, which I'm really looking forward to the A South girls tournament. I think that's going to be a great tournament. They're going to finish with a trip to Freeport, maybe get some shopping done, go to LL Bean, and then they're going to go and host Brunswick. Number 1 is Oxford Hills. They're 14-2. They're plus 246. They beat Lewiston 56-32. Their strength of schedule is 3rd. They have the 3rd hardest schedule. They always seem to have like a top 5 strength of schedule. Wyndham does have the hardest schedule in the state, if you're wondering. And their percent perfect is 73.4%. That is the hardest in AA, or the best in AA. They're going to finish at Thornton Academy and with Westbrook. So, recap. 15th is Maddinock, then 14th, Edward Little, 13th, Chevrolet, 12th, GNG, 11th is Madomic, 10th is Oceanside, 9th is Marshwood, 8th is South Portland, 7th is Coney, 6th is Biddeford, 5th is Spruce Mountain, 4th is Caribou, 3rd is Lawrence, 2nd is Mount Ararat, and 1st is Oxford Hills. On to the boys. Number 15, it's Matt Knockhook. I don't know, man. It's their 15th on both. Go figure. Number 14 is South Portland. Number 13 is Skank. Number 12 is Spruce Mountain. And number 11 is Messalonsky. Number 10, dropping 3 spots, is Mount Abram. They're 16-1. They're plus 254. They won at Madison, 66-37. They're scoring 65.3 points a game. That's 13th best in the state. And interesting, from a Class C school, their percent perfect against teams in the top 50 is 7th best in the state at 73.5. So they're not just fattening up on the bottom half of their schedule. They're doing pretty well when they get tested. They are going to finish with Mountain Valley. Number 9 is Ellsworth. They move up 4 spots. They're 15-2. They're plus 226. They beat BAPS 47-46. That's surprisingly close. And they beat Orono 48-37. Their percent perfect is 79%. That's 11th best in the state. Comes with a small caveat that their strength of schedule is the 22nd in Class B. So it's not a great schedule. They're going to finish with MDI. Number 8 is Wyndham. Wyndham's down 4 spots this week. 13-4. They're plus 169. They lost to Lewiston 46-49, which I don't know what happened there. And then they beat Scarborough 57-45. They're scoring 67.3 points a game. That's the most in AA, and they're going to finish with Deering. Number 7 is Thornton Academy. They move up 4 spots. They're 14-2. They're plus 204. They beat Gorham 75-40. They beat Deering 67-52. They are giving up 47.7 points a game. That is the best in AA. And their percent perfect is also the best in AA at 77.2%. They're going to finish with a trip to Oxford Hills and then Biddeford. Number 6 down 1 spot is Caribou. They're 16-1. They're plus 461. They beat Old Town in the game with the 3rd ejection of the week, 58-41. So maybe it was for the best that the Old Town fan didn't have to watch the 4th quarter of that game. They're scoring 75.6 points a game. That's for the most in the state. They have the 7th best scoring differential. They're going to finish with Presque Isle. Number 5 is York. York bounces back up 5 spots. They're 17-0. They're plus 325. They beat Cape 71-49. And this is what bumped them up. They beat Yarmouth 62-40. That's a really nice win. They are 6th in the state in scoring at 68.6. Their percent perfect is 4th best in the state at 92.6. They're going to finish with a trip to Poland, which that's not going to be worth anything, so they'll probably drop down a little bit. Number 4 is Falmouth. They drop a spot. They're 13-3. They're plus 181. They beat Freeport on the road 70-43. They are, their percent perfect is 58.7 against the top 25. That's the 2nd best in Class A. They've played the 11th hardest schedule in the state. They're going to finish with Biddeford and Scarborough. Number 3 is Cheverus, moving up 3 spots. They're 13-3. They're plus 240. They beat Scarborough on the road 59-54. Then they beat South Portland on the road. That's how you move up 3 spots, 54-37. Their scoring differential is the best in AA. Their percent perfect is 75.2. That's 14th best in the state and 2nd best in AA. They're going to finish with a trip to Lewiston and then Portland. Number 2, staying at number 2 is Noble. They're 15-1. They're plus 227. They've clinched the 1 seed in A South. What a fantastic turnaround for that program. This week they beat Sanford on the road 76-66. They beat Mount Ararat 64-48. They lead Class A in scoring differential, and percent perfect. They're a wagon. They're going to finish with Marshwood and then a trip to Bonnie Eagle. Number 1, still at number 1, Madomic Valley, 17-0, plus 497 on the season. They beat Erskine on the road, 64-29, and then they beat Oceanside at Oceanside, 69-45. They lead Class B in scoring defense at 37.4 points a game, which is ridiculous. Scoring differential. And they are 1st in the state in percent perfect at 98.5%. And they will finish with Camden in a doubleheader. And Jay Baines texted me the other day and he said, how early do I need to get there for the senior night Madomic Valley Camden doubleheader? Should I leave now? And I told him, yes, you should probably leave now because that will be packed. That will finish off the season, although it might be snowing, so maybe they'll move it up a day. So there's your top 15 in the power rankings. Number 15, Matt Knockhook. Number 14 is South Portland. Number 13 is Skenk. Number 12 is Spruce. Number 11 is Meso. Number 10 is Mount Abram. Number 9 is Ellsworth. Number 8 is Wyndham. Number 7 is Thornton Academy. Number 6 is Caribou. Number 5 is York. Number 4 is Falmouth. Number 3 is Cheverus. Number 2 is Noble, and number 1 is Madomic Valley. And there's your top 15. And I think that's going to do it. So, in summary, stop acting a fool at the games. Don't get thrown out of the basketball games that your kids are trying to play, and quit looking like a complete moron at the games. And if someone is at a game and looking like a complete moron and getting themselves ejected and threatening to run out on the floor and like cold cock a ref, pull out your phone, record it, and let's put them, let's put it online and make them feel bad about themselves. Or maybe they won't feel bad about themselves because they seem to think that they're more important than the game. And no one is more important than the game. No one at all. Yeah, that's it. And then also Luka got traded. And what is this Luka trade? This Luka trade is ridiculous. Like, the Mavericks are insane. Mark Cuban must be so upset about this trade. I can't even imagine. Okay, that's going to do it for the show. We have 1 week left in the season. Then the tournament. We're doing great. This has been a production of MaineBasketballRankings.com, your source for the most comprehensive coverage of Maine high school basketball from Ashland to York and everywhere in between. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts and in a bunch of places you don't. If you do enjoy this, please leave a nice review because it does help out with algorithms and all that nonsense. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Thanks for watching.